My name is Nick Olson, Director of Private Wealth here at Cathmere Capital. I wanted to take a couple minutes just to summarize what was passed recently with the CARES Act, talk about how that affects individuals and small businesses. This is going to be a general overview of really what has been put out there. There's a lot more nuance and details that are still actually being worked out, and we're still trying to work through exactly how this is going to come through, especially on the small business side of it. And the timing for individuals. They've talked about expediting this as quickly as possible, but we do know this is going to take some time. So let's dive into this large $2 trillion package that was just announced just last week. So when we look at this plan, it is across the board. A lot of these numbers are being finalized up, but this graphic that we've put together really summarizes who it is going after. It's going to try and help individuals. $560 billion or so is allocated directly to individuals. Another $500 billion towards large companies, another $375 billion or so towards small businesses, and then a large amount, about $340 billion, is going to state and local governments, and the rest, about $150 billion towards public health, another $45 billion or so towards education, and trying to make sure that all that gets firmed up with all the schools having to be closed and what they're doing there. So a lot is going on. This is the largest package that has ever been, or largest stimulus plan ever put together, really being called a recovery plan, if you will, or a revival plan, trying to make this go through in the way that it is. Individuals, again, are the number one allocation that they're putting out towards this. When we look at how it affects individuals, which we will cover in a couple slides here in the very beginning, a lot of that is going for direct cash payments. A lot of people are not going to see this in the higher income levels. It really, as a family, you need to make under about $200,000 as a family to receive any of it. As an individual, as a single without any children, you need to make about under $100,000 that would go. This is really a refundable tax credit. It's not a taxable event. It is actually just a credit that they're giving now that would then come off taxes that they have when you go to file your taxes in 2021 for your 2020 filings. Payments are about $1,200 per individual or $500 per child. There is no income limit on the children's side of it, but there is on the payment side towards individuals. So just if you have questions, want to know, let us know, or you can do the quick calculation yourself. The other thing that came through with the CARES Act or right beforehand was they've extended the tax return deadlines to July 15th of 2020. That also does include, importantly, your IRA contributions in that as well. They have not changed, at least not all states have changed their state rulings. We do see that starting to trickle in. Every week we get a new list of states that are saying that they're pushing back that filing date, especially with it coming up in just about a week from now. I would be surprised if all states aren't on board at this point. The other one that we've seen a very large change in was the unemployment benefit. So as I'm sure everyone has seen in the news headlines, we have 6 million individuals that have been claiming for unemployment the past 2 weeks. And I think it was 3 million the week before. So just a very large numbers that we have not seen anything like this in the past. The last large number that we had was about 600,000 in a week. And we just had 6 million people apply for unemployment for the first time or new unemployment benefits. So what they've changed there is they've increased both the benefit and the eligibility of unemployment. They've added $600 per week as a maximum to the base in addition to your traditional benefits through your state. That will last 4 months. They've also now included freelancer and gig workers. This is a huge difference from what was included before. A lot of states are still working this out on their unemployment sites or application process, but they're including this under what they're calling the pandemic unemployment assistance. So that is one of the large changes for those that do consulting work or freelance work, that you are now being included on an unemployment benefit if you were affected that way. One of the other changes, and we've talked about this with a couple clients that this directly affects, and we'd be happy to talk about it with you if this does in fact affect you as well, is required minimum distributions are being waived for 2020. That has to do both with your individual RMDs or required minimum distributions, but also if you're a beneficiary IRAs or a beneficiary of Roth IRAs, those are also being waived. So it is a good planning opportunity to look at some options that you can take advantage of having a lower necessary distribution. So talking about how much should you distribute or what should you do. A lot of options there. The last 4 points on the individual side is really the insurance coverage. They have now, all private plans are required to cover all COVID-19 treatments, vaccines, and testing costs. The other thing that's changed a lot is the insurance coverage. All private insurance plans are required to cover all COVID-19 treatments, vaccines, and testing costs. This is a requirement across the board. So if you're insured either through the federal or through private plans, they are required to cover all those costs. The other thing that they've done on the student loan side of it is they temporarily have given relief, allowing for loan and interest payments to be deferred through September 30th if it's a federally owned student loan. Last two are on the retirement account distributions. If you do need to take a distribution and you were affected, they are waiving the 10% penalty and you owe taxes over 3 years versus immediately owing taxes upon that distribution. Again, retirement accounts should be allocated towards retirement, but we understand when there's situations where you do need to take out funds from your retirement account, that would then push forward for the next 3 years on taxes and waive that 10% penalty. And the very last one, which affects directly children, is that they've really allocated a large capital, about $20 billion, towards SNAP, which is the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Plan, and schools to provide meals for students through this time. As I'm sure you're aware, a lot of public schools provide a lot of free meals for kids that need it. And with schools being closed, that was one of the large concerns, was how are these students going to be able to get food? Their families are relying on those meals to provide. So a lot of money has been allocated towards that, which is wonderful to see, and being directly provided meals for students. The last thing that we want to cover is really on the small business side. There was one program that was already enforced, but has changed pretty drastically, which is the Economic Injury Disaster Loan. And then a new program, and these are both through the SBA, Small Business Association, and that is the Paycheck Protection Program. So slight differences between the two, and we've put them here in this graph. But what we're seeing is that people can apply for both, frankly. Talk to your CPA and look at what the best option would be for you, or we're happy to kind of walk you through what we're seeing on our side. But what these programs are is they are being used to help payroll continue, help you continue to pay for your employees, pay your mortgage, pay your rent, your utilities, what have you, just to weather this storm, so that once we get on the other side of it, your business opens back up in full force, you then still have a business to come back to. So we're saying on the economic injury disaster loans, those loans are much easier to apply for now than they were before. You don't have to prove that you've tried every credit available. It's really just show that you've been affected, and then they will give you a loan at a very low interest rate. And even though it says on here, part of it's not eligible for forgiveness, we're actually hearing that they're transitioning some of that to convert those over to a paycheck protection program. On the paycheck protection program, that is, again, same theory, which is continue to allow you to continue to make your payroll, continue to pay your employees and your building or rent or mortgage. And then where that number comes from, though, is the difference on that is a direct correlation to your current payroll. They're saying that you can receive up to 2.5 times your average monthly payroll, a very low fixed. It's about 1% fixed annual percentage rate, no payments for the first 6 months. And then it's a 2-year term after that. The big difference here, and this is one of the best plans that we've seen for small business owners, is if you were approved for forgiveness because you've used it for the right things, i.e. payroll expenses and keeping your employees on salary, and not reduce them, not furlough them, not done anything there, then that plan can actually, that loan that you took out can be forgiven. And that is what the government is writing off on that. And it is a non-taxable event as well. So again, double kind of benefit on that front. So when we look at it, there are some great plans that they have put out. These are frankly some of the best small business plans that we've seen ever initiated. So they're really trying to kind of throw everything they can at this right now. So when we look at it and we look through what this means, is this is inclusive of some other large stimulus packages that we're seeing announced, frankly, almost every week to try and weather this storm, this pandemic, so that we all do stay safe and healthy through all of this. So we wanted to give you guys a quick update on really what the CARES Act covered. If you do have any questions, we'd happily answer them. Please do reach out to us. Thanks so much. Have a great rest of your day. Take care.